President Schuster, do you want to share a few words before we get started with intros?
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah, welcome everybody. I'm really anxious to hear more about this program. It's very, very exciting. And I view the PA program as really sort of the jewel on the crown of what we've been trying to accomplish as an institution for so long. You may not know, but our goal as an institution is and has been since our founding was to really take the benefits of these incredible developments in the life sciences, in devices and diagnostics and all of these areas, and get them to people. How do they benefit society? And we began by building it into business. We began by thinking broadly about how business could take these advances and with all the aspects of that being ethical and being tested and being verified and validated and financed and all the kind of things you need. And then we moved into the actual delivering it to the patient. And it's been a journey as an institution. And I think the absolutely most wonderful part of it is being able to welcome Sonia and the team and hear more about this program, because clearly the PA program and its goals and the way that it's being designed by this great leadership team is really a culmination of what we've been thinking about for so many years as an institution. So nothing could be more timely, nothing could be more exciting. We will be, as I'm sure Sonia's going to tell, the first students are going to come in 2000 in the fall of 22, which is our 25th anniversary. And I just see those as coinciding in such an exciting event. So I can't wait to hear more. And I'm going to try to shut up, but I am waiting for the cookies, Sonia. Just say it.
All right, I'll work on that. I'll work on that. So Kamika, would you like us to introduce ourselves?
Yes, please do. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll start. My name is Sonia Adi. I am the founding program director of our new Master of Science in Physician Assistant Studies program.
And I'm Christy Eskis. I'm the director of didactic education for the MSPA program.
Okay, perfect. So I have, we have a presentation we'd like to give, so we can kind of give an overview of our program, and then at the end we've saved some time that we can take questions. So feel free to kind of jot down what questions you may have, and we'll make sure to get to as many of them as we can. So Kamika, would you mind if I run that? Because I think that Slido app works better on my computer. Thank you. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. Let's see. Okay, it should be popping up shortly. All right, can everyone see my screen? All right, perfect. So before we get started, you'll see in red right here on this front screen, we're going to try to do a little interaction within this and get some feedback of a little bit of information about each of you and sort of what brought you to this webinar today. So if you could just open up your browsers right now, it can be on your phone or on your computer, to slido.com. That's SLIDO.com. And then where it says joining as a participant, you just have to pop in the code KGIPA. So we tried to make it as simple as possible, and soon you'll see why we did that. So let me just go ahead and get started, and we'll get to those questions shortly. So as we just introduced ourselves, I'm Sonia Adi, and we have Dr. Eskis with us today as well. And let's go ahead and jump into that first question.
So what we want to know from you is just give us one or two words, because you're going to see it's going to create a word cloud here. So what interests you most about the PA profession? It can be an aspect of the profession itself, but what is the most interesting to you about it? And we'll give it some time for you to be on slido.com, and you can just answer. And you can see on the bottom left-hand side, if you type in KGIPA, it should automatically come up and you should see this question. So as you enter it, hit send, and we'll see what comes up. Awesome. Reducing disparities, helping your community. Flexibility, it's a big one. Community outreach, expertise, compassion. I love that. Versatility, yes, that's really key. We'll talk about that a little bit. Working with the underserved, patient education. Compassion, another big one.
Yes, I love that compassion is showing up too. That's a big one for us.
Absolutely. All right, so you can see there's a wide variety, yet a lot of you are saying versatility of the profession, which is pretty unique for us, and for the PA in comparison to any other profession, really. The compassion and then the flexibility, those are huge. I love the collaboration. We're going to be talking about how we do that in our program too, and teamwork, empathy. Yes, this is awesome. Thank you guys. Continuous learning, absolutely. So we want to also know, because you all heard from the PA profession from somewhere. So did you hear about it from a personal experience, a career fair, a friend or family member? Maybe you were just doing some internet research and came upon our profession. We're just curious and would love to hear what drew you to our profession. So a lot of friends, family members, personal experience. Awesome. Yeah, it really makes a difference, right? That personal touch makes a huge difference. A friend or family member seems to be the #1 out of this group. And then personal experience with a PA is about 1/3 of you so far. We'll give it just another minute.
That's great. I'm happy to see that. That means a lot of you really understand what the PA role is, because typically if you hear from a friend or family member, you know what they do, you know what they experience on a day-to-day basis. So that's great. That seems, that means that you really know what you're kind of walking into if you're applying to PA school, because you've seen it firsthand.
Most definitely. All right. So I think we'll move on to our next one. So based on all of this, when you look at all of these areas, so what can a PA do or not do? And so we can do all of the following except conduct medical histories and physicals, order and interpret lab and diagnostic studies, prescribe medications, perform clinical surgical procedures, own medical practice, and then or F, all of the above. So I don't believe we have this one on Slido. So you can just be thinking about this one. Which one would you put here between A, B, C, D, E, or F? So out of all of these.
Should we ask President Schuster to weigh in on this one?
President Schuster.
Are you a good test taker? Do you know the answer?
No, I do not know the answer, and I'm embarrassed that I don't know the answer. It's got to be E or F. I can't imagine it's anything else, because I know PAs do so much, and I got to tell you, I've been to a PA a whole lot more than the other kinds of practitioners. If I have to pick, I'll pick F.
All right, so drum roll, please.
Absolutely.
There we go.
And that's 2 cookies.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. So believe it or not, we actually can own our own medical practice. So the laws and regulations vary from state to state, but I think that's the one that always trips everyone up, because you know that we take histories and do physicals and can do all these things, but there's a lot of different variety of ways that PAs can actually be in healthcare, and some of it's in administration, leadership, practice ownership. So we're really excited about the future of our profession. This is a great time to come in. So what exactly can we do? Well, as you all just found out, or maybe for the first time, or know already this information, we just wanted to review. We can diagnose and treat illness. We can prescribe medications in all 50 states and the territories, perform clinical procedures. We can conduct research, order and interpret tests, assist in surgery. That's a big one. A lot of PAs, especially new grads, like to go into surgical specialties. And we can also become certified with an additional certification. And this is relatively new in our profession, but through our accrediting body, we actually have additional certifications for certain specialties, just to show an extra emphasis in an area of practice that you are maybe specialized in, because a lot of us do go into certain specialties. So, and then of course, as we mentioned, you can also own a medical practice. So again, very, very diverse. Really excellent things that our profession can do that we're excited about. So.
And the great news is that it's a really, really good time to be a PA. If many of you have been reading some recent reports, you'll see that US News and World Report just in January released their top 100 jobs, and the PA profession was the #1 ranked overall job this year, as well as the #1 ranked healthcare job overall. And they base this on growth potential, work-life balance, and salary. So this is really a great career. I imagine it to continue to stay. It's been #1 for quite some time, and there's a reason for it. And I think it continues to get better and better as we go along. So what does it take to be a PA? So these are the essential steps. So first, obviously, you need to earn a master's degree to become a PA, and that is typically anywhere from 24 to 28 months. Our MSPA program is a 27-month program. So that equals about 12 to 15 months in the classroom, and which what we call the didactic phase, and then 12 months of clinical experiences. And then once you complete the program and you graduate with your degree, you will go on to pass our national certifying exam, which has the fun acronym of PANTS, which is the PA National Certifying Exam. So if you ever hear anyone talking about their pants, that's what they're talking about. And it's spelled that way. So just so you know, for future reference, you'll be hearing it a lot. And after you pass that national certifying exam, you go on to complete 100 hours of continuing medical education credit each 2 years to maintain your licensure and certification. And you'll take another exam every 10 years. So that's right on line with other healthcare professions, such as physicians have to take a recertification exam every 10 years as well. So that is what it looks like. That's what the beginning looks like, and that's what the long-term process looks like for a PA. So now let's talk more specifically about the KGI MSPA program. So our mission is to develop high-quality PAs, and what I mean by that is that our PAs are going to help advance healthcare, and they're going to do that through leadership, commitment to their communities, and the compassionate care of diverse populations. And you'll see what I mean by that and how we're fulfilling our mission. And you'll see that through some of the rest of the slides I have here about our curriculum and sort of what our program is focused on how we're going to accomplish that mission. And our vision is that we're going to redefine PA education, and we're going to do that through innovative teaching methods. So a lot of you may be used to having a professor come in and lecture at you and put on a PowerPoint presentation and just talk at you for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever the case may be. And that won't be what our program is. And our program is more about having interactive sessions. We're going to talk through cases. We're going to be hands-on. And that's what makes this field exciting, because we can do that. That's part of what our profession is about, is being hands-on, knowing how to talk with one another, knowing how to do physical exams and do clinical procedures. So this will definitely be an innovative teaching style that we use. We're going to be doing active learning. You won't sit there. So I think it'll be a lot of fun for our students as well, and the professors alike. I think it's a lot more engaging that way. We're also going to have rich clinical experiences. We're going to have interprofessional collaboration. I'm going to talk more about that and how KGI is a little different from most programs you may be looking into. And we're also going to have leadership training. This is definitely something that's unique to our program. So our graduates are really going to play an integral role. And I know this came up in the question in the beginning. We're looking to promote health equity. And we're going to do that by shaping the future of healthcare in clinical, administrative, and academic roles. So we're not preparing you just to become a clinical PA, and that's the end of it. We really want you to broaden your horizons and be able to work in different types of roles. So if you want to be in healthcare administration, we're going to give you the leadership skills to do so. If you want to be a medical practice owner in the future, we're going to really give you the leadership and entrepreneurship skills that you need. So that is what I think is unique about our vision for our program. So a brief overview of our program is, like I said, it's 27 months in length. We are projecting to have 40 students in our first class. And as I said, we are 15 months in the didactic phase and then 12 months in the clinical phase. Our anticipated start date is fall of 2022, right in line with our 25th anniversary. And then we'll have that first graduating class in December of 2024. So what is it that differentiates us? And this I kind of touched on, but I want to go into each of the details here. So the first thing is leadership and entrepreneurship. So through our didactic courses, some of the leadership opportunities we're going to offer, as well as group projects, we're really going to provide our students the tools to become future PA leaders. And I think this is especially important now when healthcare is changing so rapidly and we have an opportunity as a profession to really step in and make our mark and show where we belong. And I think COVID has really allowed us to show how important and how valuable our profession is in helping out with the pandemic. So it's a great time, and I think it's really important for our graduates to really have those skills to shine once they get into the field. Another area is that we're going to have an additional focus in surgery and emergency medicine. Now, in addition to primary care practice, our students are going to be uniquely prepared to excel in the ER and OR. And we're going to do that through additional didactic coursework, which I'll be talking about shortly, as well as partnerships with local ER and surgical groups. Many of you found, if you look at the statistics of what most PA applicants are looking for, they want to go into 3 areas, and that's primary care, which we will definitely cover, as well as ER and surgical subspecialties. So we really want to make sure that students coming into the program will make the program work for them. And we do that by offering this additional focus that a lot of other programs may not be able to offer. We also have robust interprofessional collaboration. So our students are really going to have interprofessional experiences unlike any other PA program that I know, because you're able to collaborate with some of KGI's unique and innovative programs. And that includes our pharmacy program. We have a genetic counseling program, which is definitely a piece of being a PA, and you don't often get that collaboration. So that's a wonderful one for us. The same, we're also developing an occupational therapy doctorate program at KGI. And we have a future MD program that's coming as well. So these are some really unique experiences that our PA students will have here at KGI. We're also going to be able to offer early clinical experiences to our students. So our students are really going to have these real life patient experiences in the first year of the program. So you're not going to have to wait till the clinical phase to start interacting with patients. You're going to be able to do that from the very beginning. And what this allows is for you to get more and more comfortable as a student in interacting with patients, and make sure you're trying out your patient history skills and learning how to do a physical exam so that you don't have those nerves that sometimes students have as they go into clinical rotations. So that way, when you're on the clinical rotations, you can feel like, wow, I'm almost a professional PA. I am almost there, and you have the skills and the tools you need, and you just need to add on to that knowledge. So that is one thing that we think will keep our first year students really motivated and energized about being a PA. We'll also have a focus on community health. So we're gonna have our students involved in community-based projects and local health events. I know this was something that came up in that first poll question about what's important. So we are definitely gonna be in the community, and we wanna focus on caring for and educating our local community as well. Make sure that we know how to address the health needs of our local areas. And finally, we have a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And what I mean by that is that we value diversity to the broadest degree. So we're committed to recruiting the most diverse students, the most diverse faculty and staff. And we're going to do that through some initiatives and pipeline programs that we're currently developing. But in addition to that, we're weaving cultural and linguistic competency in throughout our curriculum. So you're not going to find just one lecture or one course about cultural competency and linguistic competency. It's really weaved throughout our entire program. And I think it's extremely important that all programs really take this approach, because there's lots of gaps in care. And if you don't understand what a patient is going through, or what their circumstances are, or why they got to the place they are, then you're not going to be able to treat them the best. You're not going to be able to offer the best management plan for them, or really know how to connect with them. So that's why we really talk about this from day one, and make sure that our students are really aware of how to connect with our patients. So now I'm going to dive into the curriculum a little bit so you can see exactly where we touch on some of these subjects that we've been talking about. So for the didactic phase, that is 4 semesters. The first semester, as you can see, is our foundation semester. This is when we're going to be talking about the basics, such as medical anatomy, basic medical sciences. This is going to be more of an extension of what you've taken in your prerequisite courses. We're also going to do evidence-based medicine. It's really important as a student for you to learn how to be a lifelong learner. And that means being able to look into medical literature and be able to analyze it, make sure it's accurate, and then know if you need to apply it to medical practice. And so if you get those skills from day one, you will never have issues, because no matter how hard we try as faculty, whatever we provide to you in our program, 5 years, 10 years down the line, that information isn't valid anymore. So you really need to know as a provider how to consume that information and apply it to clinical practice. So we're starting that on day one in the first semester. We also have a fun community health course in that first semester. Dr. Eskis and I have been developing this course and we're really excited about it. It is not your traditional take a test, learn some things and then take a test. This is a project-based course where you're going to be able to really go out into the community, find out about the community, what are their health needs, and then be able to develop a project. We're going to have you create a video, which we're going to have a film festival at the end of the course where you get to show your documentary about that certain community. And then you'll be able to create some health education material at the end to help support that community with their health needs. So it's a fun approach to, working on community health. It's not the traditional way. And then we also have these course series that go across the curriculum. So we have PA professional practice. This is where you're going to really learn about the PA profession, its histories, how to do licensing and credentialing. We talk about ethical issues in there, and this is where we also house our leadership and entrepreneurship skills. We also have clinical and diagnostic skills. That is another course that spans the entire curriculum. And this is where you're going to learn how to do fun clinical procedures, and you learn how to interpret lab tests and diagnostic studies. So you'll learn how to read an EKG and a chest x-ray. And then that will go along in the other core semesters. And then we also have patient assessment that starts in that first semester as well. And that's where you begin with patient history taking, physical exam skills, and you learn how to start documentation, which is actually a huge part of being a provider, is knowing how to document all of your encounters. And then as you go into the core semesters, you'll notice that some of the series that come in through there. And one of the great things about the curriculum that we're developing is that it's all integrated. So you won't be studying about neurology in one course and cardio in another course and infectious disease in yet another course and get really confused. We're creating a very integrated curriculum. So in our clinical medicine course, if you're studying cardiac diseases in pharmacotherapeutics and pharmacology courses, you're going to be studying cardiac drugs. In patient assessment 2, you're going to be studying the cardiovascular physical exam. And then in clinical and diagnostic skills, you're going to be learning about EKGs and learning about ordering troponins if you have a suspected MI or heart attack that comes into the hospital. So you'll learn all 360 degrees of how to treat a patient that might have a cardiac issue. And so that's a wonderful approach. And so we take that same approach with every single system all the way across those core 3 semesters. And then we also have a fun course called Clinical Integration and Application, where we really have these case-based discussions and we get to have interprofessional experiences. And this is also where we have our early clinical experiences, and we wrap it all together in there. And so even though you've been studying really hard on cardiac diseases, we keep you up to date on all of the other systems that you've been studying by going through these really cool case discussions. And then finally, in the core 3, and you'll see in core 1 and core 2 are almost identical. And then core 3, there's one additional course in there, and that's at Fundamentals of Surgery and Emergency Medicine. And this is where we're going to really focus on ER and surgery and learn some advanced clinical procedures that you may not be able to learn otherwise, so that our students are really, really prepared for the ER and surgery. Now, our clinical phase is where we have supervised clinical practice experiences, which is a term you're going to be hearing, but you'll probably hear SCIPY, which is the short way of saying it. We always come up with some fun ways to use our acronyms. So our rotations are going to be 6 weeks in duration, and they're going to be in the ER, inpatient, outpatient settings, and the OR as well. And this is where you really get to start feeling like a true PA. You're going to do everything from A to Z. You're going to get the patient history. You're going to do the physical exam, order and interpret tests, formulate the differential, create the management plan. And then you're also going to get to do fun clinical procedures. You're going to assist in surgery, suture up lacerations, maybe get to intubate. You get to do a lot of fun things depending on what rotation you're on. So our clinical phase looks like this. We have 8 rotations. So you'll see the first 7 are our typical core rotations, and then we offer 1 clinical elective. During the clinical phase, we also have 3 didactic courses, and this is where you develop your capstone. So that we do have a capstone project, and one of the fun things about our capstone project is that You get to, instead of just doing like a paper about a disease and that's it, and that's your master's project, we really want to look for you to come up with an innovation in something. So an innovation in patient care, or an innovation in healthcare in general. So it's a kind of a fun way to go about a capstone project, and something that I hope our students will be really interested and intrigued in, instead of just talking about one disease process and calling it a day. This is also where we'll have our summative evaluation to really get you prepped for graduating and taking our certifying exam. And we also offer our students a full week of board certification prep at the end. So we're really committed to making sure that our students are successful on that exam, and that they'll be successful as future PAs. So now I think a question came in. Can someone let me know what that is? I saw something light up. Nothing. Okay. All right. So Christy, I'll turn the floor to you on admissions.
Excellent. All right. So the admissions process, now that you know about our program, we wanted to review the specific admissions process. So we do have a lot of this online on our website. If you haven't checked it out, we invite you to go because there are details about that. And then our curriculum that Professor Adi just went through is going to be posted shortly. So if you didn't get all your notes written down in that moment, we will have it posted on our website shortly. So, but let's talk about the admissions process. So at KGI, we really believe in looking at each of you as a potential applicant. When you apply, we want to look not just at your GPA. We want to look not just at how you've succeeded in courses, but we want to look at you as a whole person. So we take this holistic approach with our admissions process. Of course, we have to have minimum academic criteria because it is very much, very academic program in that you have to, meet certain minimums. And we have that PANCE exam at the end in order for you to become a certified PA. So there is a minimum academic criteria, which we'll go through, but we really actually are more interested in many ways in your individual goals and attributes. And then we've come up with something called the capacity to succeed. So if you're someone who maybe you didn't know what you wanted to do when you first started school, and you didn't really find your passion until later, and maybe those first few grades weren't so great, and your GPA wasn't so great at first when you started college, and then as you got more motivated, as you developed more study skills, habits, and just knew what you wanted to do and became laser focused, suddenly you have all A's. We actually will take that into consideration. So we're not just looking at, oh my goodness, this person flunked out on this, in this semester, or something happened, or maybe something personal happened to you that was really difficult, that you had to overcome a life experience. We will take all of that into consideration when we're checking your application. So again, we don't want to just look at you as a number or letter grades. We want to look at you as a whole person, because that's the person that's going to be going out there representing us and representing our profession that we care so deeply about. So these are our admissions requirements, and we'll break it down individually to make it hopefully really simple for you to understand and determine if you even meet these requirements now, or that you have a goal for meeting the requirements in the future. So first, you do need a bachelor's degree, since this is a master's level program. And we'll talk about the timing for that bachelor's degree and when it needs to have been obtained. We have a 3.0 minimum for your overall GPA, as well as for your science GPA. We have 7 prerequisite courses, which is actually not a lot. When you look at schools all over the nation, we have some of the fewest prerequisite requirements, and we'll talk about that. We require 1,000 hours of patient care experience at the time that you apply, 3 letters of reference, and then there's 2 different applications, although they're both within the CASPA application. So we'll break this down starting on the next slide. So first, your bachelor's degree. We want this bachelor's degree to be completed by June 15th of the year of matriculation, which is the year that you would actually be starting the PA program should you get accepted. So if you don't have your bachelor's degree right now, that's okay. If it can be completed by June 15th and verified as complete by then you can still apply. And your degree does not need to be in a science-based field. It can be in any field that you want, as long as you have met our prerequisites. So, next slide. So the minimum GPAs, this is pretty consistent again with most of our other PA programs in the area, especially that we require a minimum overall GPA of 3.0 as well as a minimum science GPA of 3.0. Now this will include every undergraduate course that you've ever taken that wasn't a pass fail. So anything that you get a letter grade in will be calculated. And this is calculated by CASPA, which is our online application service for PA programs nationwide. So this is not something that we calculate for you. This is not something that we go based on your own personal calculations. But if you've taken courses at multiple different colleges, which a lot of us do nowadays because of availability of courses, CASPA will actually take all of your transcripts and calculate your GPA for you. So that you know what your minimum GPAs are. Now, if you don't meet this minimum GPA at the time of application for us, we wouldn't move forward with your application. So if you have in progress courses that you believe would actually, flip you above the 3.0 minimum, please don't apply until the actual calculated GPA shows us at least a 3.0, because we cannot move forward with an application unless it has that 3.0 minimum at the time that you actually hit the submit button on CASPA. Next slide. So our 7 prerequisite courses are the courses listed here. We require both human anatomy and physiology with the lab. Now this is a sequence, so it needs to be 2 different courses, and it can be broken up either as an anatomy course separately with a lab and a human and physiology course separately with a lab, or as many colleges have is the A&P1 and A&P2 for the anatomy and physiology course combined. But it does need to be a full course sequence of those systems so that you have a good foundation before you come to PA school, because the medical anatomy course that Sonia talked about earlier is really not going to be reteaching you anatomy from the beginning. It's going to be more application based and really clinically focused. And so we want you to have a very good foundation, especially in anatomy and physiology. Also, we require a microbiology course. Now, this does not need to have a lab associated with it. So this is just a 3-unit semester that we require. Most microbiology courses do come with a lab, but if you do happen to have a course that you have available to you that doesn't have one, or that the lab is separate, you don't need to take a lab for our program, but you might want to check out if you're going to be applying to other programs, whether or not they require a lab. This also needs to be like a general microbiology focus or a medical microbiology, where it covers a variety of things from bacteria to viruses to fungi and all of those areas, because you need to be, again, well-rounded. We will go over that as well from a different perspective in our basic medical sciences class, but not teaching you microbiology from the ground up. I'll cover that. Thank you for that question. I'll cover that question right at the end. So the additional upper level biology or health science. So this is pretty broad and wide open. We've accepted courses, anything we've accepted, like an upper level nutrition course or other health sciences or biology. So this really is up to interpretation for you, as long as it is at least that junior or senior level course in a biology or health science type of class. So you can really individualize this to your own interests, but think about things that might be really beneficial for you as a future PA, since this is your goal. We also require a chemistry with a lab. This chemistry can be a general chemistry or organic or biochemistry level, because you are going to be applying chemistry when it comes to pharmacology, when it comes to selecting medications. And so you need to have some sort of chemistry basis, but we don't require a huge sequence of chemistry in order for you to apply. We just need a chemistry course with a lab plus 1 additional chemistry lecture. And so that can, again, it can be sequenced, it can be out of sequence. And then finally, statistics, because as Sonia mentioned, we have the evidence-based medicine course, and we're going to be teaching you about the types of statistics that are used in medical journals when coming up with clinical practice guidelines. And we really need you to understand the basics of what statistics means. So since we're on this about the course, yes, chemistry, general chemistry 1 and 2 absolutely counts for chemistry lab. and the additional chemistry. So as long as it's 2 chemistry courses, even if they are sequenced or out of sequence, that is fine. All right, so our next requirement is this hands-on direct patient care. And I'm sure as you've looked at PA programs, we are not the only one that requires hands-on patient care hours. In fact, pretty much most programs nowadays require many hours, and it can be anywhere from 500 to 4,000 really is the range. So we selected 1,000 hours, and the caveat for this is that these 1,000 hours for us need to be obtained by the time that you have applied to the program. Okay, so it is a relatively low number for some of the other programs in the area. A lot of our sister programs or surrounding community programs have 2,000 hours that are required, but we require 1,000, but it has to be at the time of application. So there's a lot of examples that can cover some of the hours, and we have some examples written on our website, but here's some here. The EMT, paramedic, respiratory therapist, a rad tech, any level of nursing, a scribe. Scribe is very popular. Medical assisting, dietitian, a whole wide variety and a whole range. And these are just examples. There are so many more that are open. And so if you have questions about whether or not your patient care experience would be accepted, please look at our website first, because it does kind of detail what types of experiences we're looking for. But also you are always welcome to email our admissions, our KGI admissions department, and they would be more than happy to help provide some answers for that as well. If it's unclear. So, but anything that really you're working with a patient hands-on. Now this can be a paid experience for us or an unpaid volunteer experience. We actually do allow these volunteer experiences to count for your patient hours, as long as you are providing that hands-on patient care. Shadowing hours are accepted, but they're not preferred for us because the quality of the experiences that you're getting in shadowing might be variable. So we have this post-baccalaureate program at KGI called the PPA program. And this is really for people who are interested in the PA program, but they want to take a year to really get more prepared. And in that program, they actually do a lot of shadowing. But because we can verify those experiences, we know what the quality of the shadowing experience, they're actually getting some very high quality experiences. We do accept those as patient care hours for sure. So there's a lot of ways to get these patient care hours. But the biggest thing, again, is just having that active participation in the patient's care, and the higher level of that participation, the more competitive it will be. Okay, so with the more hands-on that you are, and the more that you're participating in the decision-making process and at the patient's bedside or in the clinic setting, we absolutely value that as well. So we have 3 letters of reference that are required. So the 3 letters of reference are, you need to have one from a healthcare experience. So this can be from a physician, either an MD or DO. It can be from a PA or from a nurse practitioner as well. Just someone who is actively working in healthcare who can attest to you as a future healthcare professional and your abilities to maybe adapt into the healthcare field. So ideally, this would be someone who has actually worked alongside you, who has seen how you are with patients and can attest that you are going to be a wonderful PA. The second letter needs to be from an academic reference. This can be a professor from any of the classes that you've ever taken. That is fine. We just want someone who can tell us about your academic abilities and whether you can handle this high-paced program. And then the third letter of reference can be from anyone that you wish. It can be from another healthcare reference. It can be from a second academic reference. It can maybe be from a volunteer experience, or maybe a non-healthcare job that you've had that you showed leadership skills, or anything like that. We just ask that it not be from a family member or a personal friend, because again, you want these letters of reference to really just showcase you as a well-rounded individual. We want to get to know you and who you are, and your experiences that you will be bringing to this program and to the profession. And so please don't choose someone who knows you so well that it's a family member, but someone who really has seen you in these professional environments and can attest to your future skills as a PA. So our 2 applications really are 1 application, but when you go into CASPA, so CASPA will be opening up in about just over a month now. And this is the single application for all PA programs nationwide. And it has a lot of information in it, of course, and you'll submit your transcripts directly to them. Your personal statement is there, and then these letters of reference will actually go through CASPA. And so all of that would need to be complete. You would select Graduate Institute as you are selecting different programs in order to apply to us. When you select KGI, it will pop up 7 additional questions that is our supplemental application. And we have it located within CASPA just because we felt that that would be easier than trying to chase you down after you've submitted your CASPA and having you try to submit something differently or uploading it to CASPA later. These are short answer, no more than 250 words. And these are questions like about leadership, and PAs as leaders, about why you're choosing KGI, those types of questions. And we just want you to not spend too much time trying to do, a lot of research and get these really long, really detailed responses. These are who you are. Again, we're trying to get to know you as a person. So we want to hear about your perspective on each of these topics that we've provided within these 7 questions. So we won't get your application until those 7 questions have been completed. Okay, so as you go through and you are completing your CASPA application, you can actually submit it if you're applying to other programs as well. Some programs will have supplemental applications within CASPA, some will have supplemental applications outside of CASPA, some have none at all. But again, because of the type of student and the type of program that we're building, and that the type of student that we're really looking for that matches with our mission, our vision, and our goals, we wanted to create a way to get to know you in those specific areas that aren't necessarily located within the CASPA application. So this is in addition to your personal essay that you give within CASPA, but you'll see that when you apply.
And I just wanted to add, one of these questions are no more than 250 words a piece. So they're really short. And one of the questions is, what do you like to do for fun? So these are really not, I don't want anyone to stress out about this supplemental application. It really is just for us to get a little bit more of an idea of who you are as a person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is our timeline for us. So CASPA is opening, like I said, in just over a month on April 29th. And then we will probably receive our first packages with all these applications starting in about mid-May, because it takes CASPA a little while. They're going to go through and verify your transcripts. They're going to go through and really make sure that they've done their homework and have a verified application before they send it to our program if you were to apply on that first day. We will do a rolling admissions process. So if you don't apply on April 29th, that is okay. You have until December 1st for our program to actually apply. And at any time during the cycle, if you apply, we promise that if you meet our prerequisite criteria, we will review your application. You will have an equal chance of getting a seat as anyone else who applies within the window. So don't feel like you need to rush and get an application in right away just to try to be one of the first, because we will look at every single application that is completed by our deadline. We will start conducting interviews in November, but we'll continue doing interviews until we've basically seen everybody that we need to see, and then make our admissions decisions. So again, if you are taking a course and it would look really great on your transcript to have another A in there, then we would recommend that as long as the course completes in the time frame before CASPA closes for us on December 1st, then wait to complete that course for us if you're really interested in KGI because it might look better on, you know, and for your GPA and your transcript to have this more complete application than trying to rush through a partially completed application that may look like it has holes in it. So we absolutely highly recommend just having a more complete application at the time that you hit submit versus trying to fill in holes later whenever possible. And again, if you're looking at more programs, make sure that you know the deadlines for each of the programs, but ours is December 1st. We will make final decisions by the end of March, and then our class will actually begin in August. So even though this is, you know, more than a year from now, it's going to fly by for you guys and for us. So we are really, really excited to welcome our first class pending accreditation in August of 2022. So I want to take a minute to address a couple of the questions that came in through chat, and you guys can also add in more questions too. So the first question that we got was, does the overall GPA include courses taken during a master's program? Yeah, CASPA has this way of calculating. They do an overall undergraduate GPA. They do an overall graduate GPA if your courses taken during a master's program actually were a letter grade that was earned. If it's pass-fail, that will not be calculated into GPAs. So CASPA has their special way of doing things. We have links as well to these GPA calculations, but that is part of it for sure. So the PA Summer Success Program, there are not options to shadow as part of the PA Summer Success Program, but we will be bringing PAs to you, and Professor Adi can talk a little bit more about that, about the PA Summer Success Program, because we are really excited. It's a week-long program. It's 5 mornings, and it's going to be a really, really exciting program. But let me get to this one other question. If your patient care experience does not sum up to 1,000 hours by December 2021, but it would be by August 2022, is there a waitlist for such students? And the answer is no. The 1,000 hours needs to be completed at the time that the application is submitted. So whether you submit it, you know, on July 10th or by December 1st, we have to have those 1,000 hours completed by that point for us. And a recency period for prerequisites, yes, 10 years. So the prerequisite courses need to have been completed within the last 10 years because we want to make sure that they are fresh in your mind, or relatively fresh in your mind, as you're going to be applying them in our program. The course description to evaluate a chemistry course, you can send to the admissions department. We can type in, I will actually do that now. admissions@kgi.edu. And I just put that in the chat there. That is for any admissions related questions. If you have a course description that you want to make sure is covered for a prerequisite course or patient care experience questions, absolutely, please feel free to email the admissions department. And then they will contact us if it's unclear and to get final confirmation. So we are absolutely working together to make sure that, you know, we're getting everyone's applications verified. So applications from the California or West Coast, we don't actually, region for us is a non-factor. So we just want, our main factors is really finding students who will meet our mission and our vision and our goals and go out there and represent KGI in that way. So we don't care if they come from Maine or from Hawaii or from Southern California, because we know that wherever you come from, you can go and make a difference in your community anywhere. So we're, you know, raising PAs who will make differences in their communities, whether it's here in SoCal or outside of Southern California.
And I'll take on that question for accreditation status. So we are applying for provisional accreditation right now. We have our application and site visit this fall. It's due, and we don't get the decision until about March or April, early April next year, because our accreditors meet in March. And so we find out shortly after that meeting because they only meet 3 times a year. So we actually have to sit up the edge of our seat for a little bit longer than most after our site visit. So we'll be just as anxious as everyone else. But yes, we'll find out probably end of March, early April next year. For the type of interview style, we are going to do the multiple mini interviews. That is our plan for how we're going to go about those interviews. And we have different types of activities planned just to assess different skills and just see how you are in different arenas with your communication, leadership, those kind of things. All these things that are really important to us as a program, we're going to really try to assess it as best as we can when we meet you in person. We do have admissions representatives that can meet with students who have, more questions. So again, I would reach out to that admissions@kgi.edu and see if you can set up an appointment. And Jacqueline has a great question. Are rotations prearranged? Yes, they're 100% prearranged. That is a requirement for actually all PA programs to set up your rotations for you. Nurse practitioner schools, you have to do it yourself, but PAs, we do it for you. So that will not be a concern. We are all keeping them all within the local area as best as we can. So they'll definitely be in Southern California. We can't guarantee that there'll be a 10-minute ride from your house, but they will be in Southern California. And, if there are requests for outside of California, we can try to accommodate those. For instance, if you're, from Maine, as the example was given, we can try to accommodate that. But, we can't guarantee any of that, but we will definitely work with everyone. Let's see.
And then COVID classes. KGI transitioned to the online classes with COVID, and they've been doing online, and through this summer actually is when they're going to be doing online. And the final decision hasn't been made yet for starting in fall 2021. But I would imagine, depending on what's happening with COVID by fall 2022, the goal is to have classes in person. That is our goal. And part of that active learning piece that Sonia mentioned is that we are going to be doing a lot of group work and interactive small groups with your fellow classmates. And it's going to be really, really team building and a lot of teamwork. So we really hope that we're going to be able to do that in person, just depending on, again, what's happening in our world and in the situation by then. So.
And to Helen's question, are there going to be opportunities to stay connected? We hope that you'll connect with us and stay connected. We want to build a strong community of KGI PAs and KGI alumni. So that is hugely important to us. We'd love to keep you connected. And I think, there's definitely going to be opportunities. And this kind of bridges me back to a question we had earlier about the summer program, our PA Summer Success Program that we are offering this summer. We will be talking about a lot of different topics that are going to be really interesting to each of you. So it won't be a replay of this webinar that we're going through today. It'll be more about having real PA perspectives. You get to go through a couple of clinical cases and see what it's like, what kind of decisions PAs make. We're going to have a lot of panel discussions. Our Director of Clinical Education, Brianna Cardenas, is the one who is really leading the efforts with our summer program. And she's done a fantastic job of getting panels of practicing PAs in leadership positions, PAs who have their own practice, or PAs who are serving in really unique roles, as well as new grads, and maybe even some active PA students from other programs. So it's a great opportunity for all of you to get a real perspective of what it's like from very different stages, from being a PA student, from being a recent grad, to someone who's been in the field for 20, 30 years. So it's a great opportunity. If you're available and able to do that, please join us. And we will be offering the summer program each year. This year it will only be one, but potentially in the future we'll have more than one. So it is very exciting. And Jacqueline, we don't have a cadaver lab, and you'll find that a lot of programs are moving away from it. And that sometimes the 3D virtual anatomy platforms that are available now, one is called Anatomage, which I always hesitate before I say it because I always think I'm going to say it wrong. It's a huge, huge table, if any of you have ever seen this. And it's really almost better in many ways, because each cadaver is a little different. I know I had that experience, but you don't always learn the anatomy as well. And so if you're thinking about these 3D virtual programs actually give you the most perfect specimen that you could possibly be able to look at, and really be able to understand those spatial relationships, which is really important, which is a purpose of the cadaver lab, is to really understand the spatial orientation. And this technology is unbelievable nowadays, and you really get to understand that relationship. So I know I felt like you probably when I was applying to PA school, like, oh, if you don't have a cadaver lab, what kind of program is this? It's not a legit program, but it's really changed, I'll tell you, over the past decade. that the use of cadaver labs has really gone away. A lot of it is just because of the way that you have to handle cadavers and the type of facilities you need and everything. It's really kind of moved away from it. So you may see less and less popularity of that nowadays. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And how do you apply to the summer program? Kamika, do you have a link for that you could throw in the chat so they could apply? Perfect, thank you. Yes, we're actively receiving applications for that. So for the clinical electives, we will have all different types of electives available. You know, we're working on different types of surgical subspecialties. We're hoping for like hematology, oncology. We have dermatology, cardiology, really across the board. And we're going to continue to get more and more clinical electives, but we've already obtained quite a bit at this point. But like I said, if it's something that's really important to you, we kind of talk to our students from the beginning in the didactic phase to see where their areas of interest are. And we want to accommodate you because we want to make this, again, the experience that you want. And we really want to help you excel in your career in the future. Yes, thank you, Kamika, for including that. All right, any other questions that we may not have addressed or if we missed? And feel free to speak up. You don't have to type in the chat. It's okay if you speak up.
They asked if interviews will be virtual.
We are hoping for them to be in person. We are definitely hoping for them to be in person. I think it is really valuable for you to get to meet us in person, get to see the campus in person. And so if all is safe in the fall, then we'll definitely have it in person. There are all of the tuition and fees information that you need is already on our website. We're continuing to update it. So please take a look. Even if you look this week, maybe in a couple of weeks is going to be different. So we're actively continuing to update it, but all of the tuition and fees, as well as, you know, how much medical equipment might cost for you or how much books might cost is all listed there. And one thing in terms of that is we are really utilizing Access Medicine and we're paying for that portion. So students don't have to carry on that extreme cost. So we really have minimized the cost of required textbooks for our students. You'll probably see other programs a couple of $1,000s for it because unfortunately medical textbooks are extremely expensive. Our total right now is $500 because we found that the best books were mostly within that one publisher, but there were a couple that are really key outside of it. So right now our required textbook total is $500 and we're covering the rest. So I think that's a nice little advantage that we'll be able to offer our students. Okay, all right, any other questions? I know we're right at the 3 o'clock spot. So thank you so much for coming to the webinar today. We really appreciate it. We hope to see some of these same faces at our summer program this June, but please reach out to admissions if you have any questions. They're wonderful and they'll hopefully answer anything else that comes up along the way. I wish you all the best of luck in your future careers. I'm excited you're choosing the right path if you're going PA.
Awesome.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.